Pennywise was famously first brought to life by Tim Curry in the original It miniseries. If the filmmakers behind the new It movies were going to make their mark, they needed a Pennywise for the ages. Here's how Bill Skarsgård rose to the challenge. Skarsgard began developing his take on Pennywise well before he actually started shooting any scenes. He took plenty of inspiration from Stephen King's original novel, which helped him understand the balance between Pennywise's evil cosmic origin and its more recognizable clown form. But he had very few visual cues to draw from as he first began to flesh out what made the creature tick. This created certain challenges in designing the character, particularly in terms of his voice, which in the film ranges from childlike to nasally and wavering to outright monstrous.
Popcorn, is that your favorite?
Uh-huh.
Mine too.
For Skarsgård, that voice and its many facets could not fully come into his head until he saw what Pennywise actually looked like. He told Collider, "It was really when we did the full makeup test and see what the character would actually look like. My first test with the prosthetics and makeup was where I saw what the character would actually look like with me in it. That's something I needed to explore to discover what this thing would sound like." With makeup artists, digital effects artists, costumers, and director Andy Muschietti's own designs for the character, Skarsgård had a lot of help getting into the look of Pennywise. Pennywise's demonic grin, for example, is created by Skarsgård drooping his lower lip down so that it almost comes to a point. That's not a prosthetic or digital effect, but simply something he's always been able to do.
Yeah, can we see that? Do you mind, just for that camera
Which
right there?
one?
The
Number
three.
three.
Yeah, there we go.
When Muschietti was designing the character, he had the idea that sometimes one of Pennywise's eyes would wander and told Skarsgård that he would add the lazy eye in digitally in post-production. Skarsgård explained that he could do it and revealed that he could trigger his own lazy eye.
Because what are the chances that the actor that you cast can do that practically?
Because Pennywise takes the form of a clown, his costume was obviously always going to be a key part of the overall look, and for that, Muschietti turned to costume designer Janie Bryant. Rather than take the more modern circus clown approach of the miniseries, Bryant went for something a little more timeless, with Victorian and even Elizabethan influence to give it a sense of history and even immortality. In shaping the costume, Bryant added peplum around the waist, a ruff at the neck, and other assorted blossoms of fabric to create a certain effect. Bryant explained, "I wanted it to have an organic, gourd, or pumpkin kind of effect. It helps exaggerate certain parts of the body. The costume is very nipped in the waist, and with the peplum and bloomers, it has an expansive silhouette. The exaggerated effect created by the costume gives the already tall Skarsgård the look of having impossibly long limbs, and the tightness around his torso suggests the body of an insect scuttling around the sewers of Derry." Bryant also emphasized a high waist and kept the pants short to add to the character's childlike qualities. In preparing for the role, Skarsgård watched the 1990 miniseries adaptation of It, featuring Tim Curry's generation-terrifying performance as the original Pennywise. He also made the decision not to specifically study Curry because he knew his Pennywise needed to be different. To that end, Skarsgård brought together an intriguing and diverse array of influences. He studied footage of animals to help him get into the more predatory aspects of the character, and found himself particularly drawn to hyenas and bears as influences. He also drew inspiration from another iconic clown of cinema, Heath Ledger's Joker in The Dark Knight, though Skarsgård acknowledged there were limits to that comparison since, quote, "Heath Ledger's Joker is rooted in the real. You can break down the psychology." He acknowledged, however, that the same rules didn't apply to Pennywise since he's not, quote, "a real person."
He sticks the blade in my mouth. Let's put a smile on that face.
Both Skarsgård and Muschietti have emphasized the childlike quality of Pennywise, and to help bring that into the performance, particularly when Pennywise lunges at his victims, Skarsgård took inspiration from his little brother. He told Rolling Stone, "I don't know if you've seen kids run like this, but they move their arms way too fast and it looks really, really funny. And I just loved the way my brother ran as a kid. It was just out of sync. So I incorporated that into the character and you get this really explosive effect. It's really unsettling when it happens."
I'm not afraid of you.
You will be.
Though Muschietti was determined to use practical effects as often as possible in the film, even allowing Skarsgård to do quite a few of his own stunts, Pennywise is still a shape-shifting monster from another dimension, which meant that sometimes stunt doubles and digital effects were going to be the way to go. Digital effects came in handy when it came to designing Pennywise's expanding mouth with its rows of teeth. According to Rodeo FX visual effects supervisor Arnaud Brisebois, the effects team designed a digital rig that allowed them to animate Pennywise's terrifying mouth with as much detail as possible. Brisebois told Sci-Fi, "The teeth rig was all hand animated. We basically modeled the teeth all individually or as clusters that could be grown and oriented in any way." The digital effects team was also called upon for the sequence in which Pennywise crawls out of the fridge, in addition to, of course, the final showdown in which the character is constantly changing shape. Brisebois explained, "Basically what they did was bring in all the stunt performers into a gym, and they learned the choreography and they motion captured this. We built really quick CG assets for all the characters, including Pennywise, and we planned out all his transformations and the action." Check out one of our newest videos right here. Plus, even more Looper videos about your favorite horror movies are coming soon. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.